The wind rages rough around the eaves that lift the house, up through the sky to another land and time, where once there was a working tree light, driving leading men to school, in her violet bodhisattva sports car. She pranced in sunlight standing there, singing sutras to all the ears who would hear while swimming in a pool of stoic gazers. Her many suitors slightly bending knees that quaked. I saw the light around her head and roots that reached from her feet to the center of an earth, softened both the blows of our shortening lives, hers in the very spring of bloom. She was as young as ewe's milk on the groundhog's day, but her eyes rose to see the dawn in everyone since the ever-beginning tumbler of time first turned over. Before me she was reborn in tow-headed glory, a childish celebration of beauty, wit, and charm perched on precipitous legs, wielding wisdom like an Asclepian prodigy with a wicked scalpel. Tree-lee-lee, she laughed and splashed prismatic lashes at me, which seared my cheeks and caused my thoracic cavity to squeeze till it shook, and I gasped, "Have I heard you before?" "Maybe somewhen," she replied, humming a royal hymn of queenly bees, whose drumming wings beat commands of love to her drones, so I hovered, pulsing at a stately pace, in court, attending every word that vibrated in my ribs when it bounded from her lips into the silence. "Why do you play the game of animals, riding a wheel of fortune that spins in the heavens?" They wheedled peacefully for her smiling teeth to glisten, all the while believing that her costume was a plastic doll, whose curvaceous geometry was sold for good behavior. 12 are the beasts in that circular zoo, and that 13th is you, she winked to all whose orbit was sustained, awaiting every jest and serve played by her in return to their calls for desperate attention. Slowly she became a human woman that sang of her life as an angel whose wings were folded beneath the bed in a chamber that was kept in a chest. 2 by 4 they folded, bored, bedazzled and bewildered, until only I remained, swinging on every phrase she uttered, rhyming names of stars with the shapes of her sinuous sway. "They never stick around for the 6th secret of 66 degrees, she sighed, ending her tale on a sorrowful note, looking for a soul to answer, "I don't suppose you have the time to tell." "It's morning again in California," I had to admit. "We should doze until your ugly sister, the sun, rises from her bed, and follow quietly to break our fast with that same blazing grin, after sleeping in each other's sweetful dreams." Those were my instructions that trailed off when she took my hand, twirling underarm to dance across a salon crowded with the invisible taffeta of ladies who spun remains of her adoring audience into sugar for moonless lampshades. Quietly the Dionysian riot swirled away, and she practiced the craft that most know from her errant brother, an itinerant healer from the Levant, who wouldn't stay to see his songs twisted into gibbets for the ones who took him seriously. He was an Aramaic rapper on rocky ridges, promontories, and natural amphitheaters around the lakes of river valleys, who sang about art his cousin showed him, underwater, before the breath of living in air and letting words roll out. She was sagacious in the extreme, like one who was promised and forgotten a long time ago, her footsteps floating in a void of undreamt imagination. In that crystalline moment I swore an oath to share her sparkle with every stone that melted to reveal the heart of a kind animal. I bound every plant that taught lost children how to weep, deliver her happily over and again to sunlit dales of life's experience, seeming and feeling. I swore the quickest marrow of my bone to crack with the sound of this shot through the inner mirror of my eye.